Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raising Remarkable Teenagers podcast. Again, today I'm excited, and it's because we've got Jenny Tor here from River Life Coaching, and you guys, we are in for another lovely episode because Jenny's going to be talking about introverted teenagers. Now, listen to this: introverted teenagers. How do we work with them? Because you all know that in teenage years, whether they are extroverts or introverts, the one thing they have in common is a need for connection, who probably don't express themselves. So we are so fortunate to have Jenny here. Jenny is an international coach, and she's a certified coach. She's also a qualified lawyer, and Jenny is a passionate coach, and herself, she's a mother of a teenager and two other younger kids. So all of us parents here are in for a treat. Why? Because we've got another mother of a teenager speaking to us. Aren't we lucky? So without so much further ado, I want to invite you, Jenny. Welcome.
Hi, Angie. Thank you for such a bubbly welcome. I really feel at home with you. So thank you for this time.
Oh, thank you. So, Jenny, I just want to, it was so interesting when you talked about introverted teenagers, and also you mentioned to me earlier that yourself, you're an introvert, and most people are very conversant with extroverted kids, loud, aggressive, and all that, as teenagers. So in your own description, how would you describe introverted teenagers or introverted personality? I mean, as you can tell, I am not that, right?
Yes, I can sense your energy. So actually, there is a misconception out there when we say the word introvert. People usually think, oh, introverts are shy. That's not necessarily the case, Angie. Although when I was young, I remember that I was very shy. So it's a double whammy for me. I was shy and I was also an introvert. But I only discovered later on in adult years what introversion means. So basically, it's where you draw your energy from. So if you're an introvert, your energy comes from within. You need that time to refresh yourself, to recharge yourself by being alone, quiet space, and your own quiet time. Whereas for extroverts, it's not like you guys have to be with people all the time, but when you're with the right people, you get energized with conversations with people. So that's the main difference between introverts and extroverts. And like you said, teenagers can be loud, can be boisterous. An introverted teenager tends to be more reflective. They're still growing in terms of their thinking and maturity, but they tend to reflect more. So Angie, I have a 16-year-old teenage son, and he's an introvert. I've got two girls, ages 9 and 11, and they are also introverts, but their introversion attributes show up in different ways.
Wow. So what I'm hearing you, Jenny, say is introverts, when you describe introverts, it's from where we draw our energy, what energizes us, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Oh,
yes. So for me, I love talking to people as well. So we talked about the importance of connection. It's not that I don't want to connect with people. I love connecting with people, and I give webinars and training in my line of work. But after that, so I could be talking for 3 hours. But after that, even when my daughters come to see me, I'll tell them, Mommy needs at least 20 minutes by myself. and they kind of understand. I just need that 20 minutes to get within myself, recharge, and maybe just reflect a bit, and then after that, I'm okay. So it's like thinking like you're charging your mobile phone, right? The battery needs to be recharged. So my battery draws energy from within. Whereas for you, Angie, I think even after you give a big training or presentation, big party, you want to hang out with 2 or 3 more people, closer group of friends, and then have conversations until you're like, okay, it's time for bed and all that. So you want that closer conversation with people. For me, I just need to be by myself. It doesn't have to be long, but I need that time by myself.
Wow, that's a really important the distinction actually there, Jenny, because you're correct. For example, when I've finished here, I like to debrief in terms of chatting. In fact, when I have for whatever I'm doing, I like to process in fact, I'll tell you something. Even when I'm alone, I will process my thoughts loudly. I'm the kind of person who will say, okay, so how did this go? I even speak to myself loudly, right? So, and that's how I'm able to process my own emotions. Whilst what I'm hearing you say, introverts, they are also able to process their own emotions and thoughts, but possibly in a more quiet and a more grounded way. So what we want to know is, I mean, I'm sure there's loads of parents here who have kids who especially teenagers who are introverted. So how would you in terms of connection, because we are very, very big on connecting over here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers, one of the things we know and we emphasize is connection, because we know that connection is one of the most grounding and strongest factor that makes our young people not be vulnerable. Because without connection, or when there is a disconnection, that is when our teenagers, especially our young people, become vulnerable to external exploitation. And obviously, like I can see you nodding and saying yes, because most parents know, in fact, even research continue to show us that teenagers who are disconnected with especially their parents are vulnerable to sexual exploitation, crime exploitation, drugs exploitation, and also mental health problems. So how would you advise if for example, you're coaching a parent of a teen who probably says, I don't know how to ask my daughter to tell me what's going within them, because they're probably an introvert. What would your advice be in this situation?
Well, from my personal experience, as with all parents, you need extra ounces of patience. So for an extrovert, like you said, Angie, you talk aloud. So even if your teenage daughter is gloomy and all that, she's probably venting aloud if she's an extrovert herself. But for an introverted teenager, they don't vent aloud, they go within themselves, they get quieter. So it won't work as the parent if you keep saying, oh, son, how are you?
Yeah.
What's going on? And you just get one word answers. Before you know it, the door is shut, literally the physical door and the emotional door. So you do need a lot of patience, but you also need to show your teenager that you care. So you start by building a strong foundation relationship wise from young, to always say that my door's open, because teenagers, as you know, they resonate towards their peers, their friends. The friends are their world. Parents, so uncool. You don't understand what I'm going through, whereas in reality we were teenagers before, but somehow in their teenage mind, parents are just too old-fashioned, they don't understand. So how I parent my teenage son is when he's willing to have have a conversation, I remind him that my door is always open.
Mm.
Don't assume that I don't understand. I mean, talk to me. We can always be there to support you. Even if we don't understand, know that you're not alone. And I always reinforce the fact that even if you think you did something wrong or something that doesn't agree with us, we love you unconditionally. So patience, unconditional love, and resist judgment. I find sometimes in myself, when he tells me of a certain thing, he's very sensitive as well, because introverts tend to pick up the changes in the emotions. If he sees my face, my demeanor changing as he's saying something, the wall goes up. So you also have to be very careful to be non-judgmental, because they can be quite sensitive towards judgment. This is a generalization, but speaking from experience from my son, who's very private, very introverted, he says, "Mom, you're judging me." And then, the wall goes up. And I didn't realize it's probably my face, like you're nodding now. So maybe my face, I frowned a bit, and he picked it up that, okay, I'm passing judgment on him. So I'm very mindful now. And I openly say, "Son, if you think I'm judging you, just let me know, because sometimes I'm not aware." So patience, open door, and then just let them know that you love them unconditionally. And I think this applies to all parents. It's not just introverts, but just be more mindful when you're parenting introverts.
This should have been off. Sorry, something.
It's okay.
It should have been on, but it's on. But anyway, never mind. We make mistakes, guys. Let me off this minute.
That's life, Angie.
Yeah. Now, actually, let's go back to this. You mentioned something that's very, very important about our young people thinking we are judging them, right? There is one thing we continually find in research is that our teenagers, they actually don't know how to read emotions. And that's why they are always acting, not always, they are mostly acting on defense. So when you give them that look of, I don't know what's, or I'm confused, they think you're angry with them or you're judging them. So I like what Jenny, you said about patience, and also reminding them that I still love you. And also one thing I also heard you say is that ability to say, actually, I'm not judging you. So accepting yourself as, oh, I have been accused of this. I need to say that's not what I intended for it to be. So what I'm hearing you say is what we call the properties of actually being a leader, right? You as a parent are demonstrating the qualities of a leader, which obviously, like you said, include that humility to be able to say that, oh, actually, that's not what I meant. And you may have seen my face looking like I'm judging you, but that's not what I intended. And also to say, I am sorry about this. So what I want to hear from you is when you're working with people who are introverted as a coach, maybe when you're working with parents of teenagers, or even when you're working with the general population, right? How do you help people who are not as expressive as some of us to actually align their lives with their core values, right? So that they can actually achieve their purpose and really to live their life fully and joyfully, because I know that's what you do.
Yes.
How do you lead these people to such a point that they are fulfilling their what I would say their life's purpose? How would you lead an introvert, because they are unlikely to express themselves? I mean, I'm so glad, Jenny, that you're here, because most of the parents that we have addressed is those who have kids who tell them, oh, they just talk. They stop. For
Oh, well,
me,
I don't have that problem. I
yeah.
have I have one who keeps pretty much a lot of things to himself. So before I answer that question about coaching introverts, let me backtrack a bit about what you say that's powerful, that I found powerful, that we parents have to be vulnerable. We have to take away our pride. So when we feel that when our teenager catches us in judging them, we have to, and they tell us, take that as a mirror reflecting, what they see you actually showing, and apologize. So I do that. I believe that my children are the greatest mirrors, and then they tell me as it is. So they keep me really honest. So just like you said, I didn't realize I'm judging you, and I'm sorry to have hurt your feelings, but I really want to understand what's going on. And hopefully with that openness, you can carry on the conversation. So back to your question about coaching introverts, whether it's parents, whether it's people at the workplace, one common theme that comes up, especially in organizations, is my boss told me to be more visible, or if you are at school, my teacher wants me to speak up more, but I feel that I'm really uncomfortable, and I personally feel that. So for us to really put ourselves out there, it's like taking that step outside the comfort zone. So I get my clients to reflect, like you said, core values and strengths. Get them to reflect what their values are, what their strengths are, and what's their purpose in that particular situation. So if they want to excel in the organization, what's driving them for that? And then a lot of them feel that they want to have this legacy that they leave behind, whether it's professionally or personally, or together. What legacy is it that they want to leave behind? So when they think about their legacy, and I tell them that if you don't share this with people,
Yeah.
Who's losing out? If you keep your value in and your purpose, how are you going to impact people? So that's how I do my coaching, because I feel that if I keep everything inside and I don't talk to you, Angie, how am I helping anyone? It's a waste, isn't it? So when they realize that, then they'll be like, okay, Jenny, I will take that one small step. I will make it a point to speak up in this particular meeting because I know I can contribute to that piece of project or work, and likewise. So you identify with the benefit and the value that you're giving to others. And personally, I find great joy in that when I impact someone, and I see that positive ripple effect of that person impacting another person in that person's life. So it's just what keeps me going. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what I heard you say? Something so remarkable is encouraging people to be true to themselves. So, and that doesn't mean because you're an introvert, you cannot be true to yourself. That is powerful. That's really, really powerful. And in terms of a parent, for example, we know, of course, if we know most parents are in the workplace as well. In terms of introverted parents, how would you encourage them to speak, to probably, let's say, speak out, to be true to themselves? Because many people confuse being quiet and silent and being an introverted as an opportunity to step on others and that. So how would you encourage such a parent to step up and be seen and be heard and to actually make their mark as models in their kids' lives? How would you encourage? Because I'm sure you do that for your teenagers and for your kids. How would you encourage parents who are introverted to actually step out and make a mark?
Yeah, so spot on, Angie. Just recognize your worth. I think a lot of times we don't recognize our own worth. We're all created unique. No one person is alike. And Angie, I'm a Christian, so I believe that God has put his special purpose in each one of us. So I tell my children, you are all unique individuals and you all have your strengths. And yes, we are human, we have our weaknesses. But if you keep hiding your strengths and not really loving you as how God sees you, then you're really like putting a light under a bowl. So who can see your light? So I find that encourage your children to see their worth. When they know that you're looking at them that way, they will start seeing themselves that way. So I've got a daughter who is so kind. It's just her nature to be so kind, and I encourage that. And I when I catch her doing kind acts or being kind to someone, I praise her specifically, and then her face just gleams and shines, and then she goes on doing it. So that's what I mean by positive ripple effect. You recognize what goes well, and of course, when they don't do as well, or when they suffer through some crisis, just sit with them.
Yeah.
Let them experience the emotions, like what you said, Angie. Teenagers may not be able to express emotions. Just sit with them, let the emotions come, and then help them choose the words. So if my son says he's sad, so I ask him, what type of sad is this? Where do you feel it? So if he says that he's actually feeling it here in the chest, how is that? It's heavy. So you sort of explore that emotion. So no words, but it could be, just the physical way. And then for all you know, the sadness actually turns out to be something like worry. So it's not sad, but once you explore and all that, you find out, what's actually happening. He's worried about something. So it's a lot of work in terms of being patient, because a lot of us in our busy life, like you said, working parents, right? We really don't have time to connect. But it's important to slow down and to see your child as who he or she really is.
I like what you're saying about really drawing out those emotions, because what we find is young people who are not able to express themselves, what they do is internalize their problems. And obviously there's two ways that teenagers can do this. They can either externalize, which is get really aggressive, really vocal, really outlandish. And then there's the other side where they are internalizing, they're angry within, they begin to have anxiety, they begin to have depression, and both sides are not very good. They're not healthy for the young person. So what I'm hearing you say is having the patience to hang in there and allow, especially our young people who are introverted, to sort of unfold and unleash those emotions in a safe way, where you're not rushing them. You're not rushing them because you understand their nature. You understand who they are. Wow, this is
Yes. And I just want to add a personal experience. I recall a recent incident where my husband and I had to sit down with our son, and we had a 3-hour conversation. Not a lot of words, but basically just sitting there, to go through things and just to be there for him. So it's not easy. It takes up a lot of time. But after that, I felt that we've gotten closer because of that openness and that understanding. And then your teenager will see that the fact that mom and dad carves out so much time for me. They may not say it because they are also very proud, right? Teenagers, they have a lot of pride and ego, but the fact, subconsciously, they would know that mom and dad actually set aside so much time just to hear me out. I must mean something to them.
Oh, I love it. I love, Jenny, what you just said, because you're fulfilling that need in them, the need to be heard, the need to be listened to, and the need to be valued. And when they feel that, they know, they may not tell you, but that is so edifying to the young person. And that's part of what really builds their self-esteem. And when they're feeling like that, when they're feeling they are of value, because you as a parent has been patient enough to commit the time it takes, then we have a young person who is stronger inside, isn't it?
That's true. That's true. But you do need to give them the space. So what I realize is like, if he's stressed up or he's upset, I cannot go to his room and keep asking him what's wrong, what's wrong. That doesn't work. So although you are so worried, you as a parent will have to, practice some self-control. Although you really want to go in and help, just keep a watchful eye on what's going on if your teenager is going through a difficult time. But tell him or her that you're there. And then when the time is right, they will come to you. It's just, again, a lot of patience. I know I keep saying this, but it's so important to have that patience. Tell them that I'm here, and when you're ready, let's talk, and then wait.
This is so beautiful, because again, what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that discernment, right? It's the discernment to be able to know when to step in and when not to, when to give them the space and when not to, right?
Yes, yes. And of course, if they're doing something that is a non-negotiable for your household, if they're breaking a rule that's non-negotiable, then don't give them the space, because you are still the parent. It's a reminder to everyone that right now, we want to be our teenagers' friends, and that doesn't work. So if your teenager breaks a rule that is non-negotiable for, the household, then put your foot down and say that, I respect you, but what you did is not correct. But like you said, in other situations when they're just moody, or they seem a bit down, or they seem a bit angry, then give them that space. If their behavior is not something that's acceptable to you, raise it to say that, that is being disrespectful to me. I don't like it. I know that something's causing you to do it. I don't like it. So we will talk when you calm down, and then just walk away. Don't engage in an argument with them, because it's going to spiral downwards. You're going to be sucked in by their negativity, and before you know it, you will start acting like a teenager and no longer a parent.
Oh, that is so wise. That is so wise what you said about continuing to take your role as a leader. You are not ignoring when they have crossed the line, right? You're not ignoring it.
No.
Because sometimes even I have been guilty, because you think, oh, this is too much. I just can't be bothered. I can't be asked. But I believe, and what you're saying is, as leaders, as parents we are, right? We need to be able to call out things that are not acceptable as such. We still need to be true. We need to be real, right? But then, but what you also said is that you don't have to jump on them or claw at them at that point. You can suggest this discussion at a later time when both of you are at a proper headspace, so that you can have this discussion. Wow, this is amazing.
And Angie, easier said than done, right? In the heat of the moment, I'm sure there are times when you just want to get into a heated argument with your daughter. So likewise, we are only human, to recognize that we can't get it right all the time. But when you are firm in your non-negotiable rules, or when you face unacceptable behavior and you put your foot down, down the road, your teenager will respect you, because mom and dad actually has all these boundaries and roles and responsibilities. It gives them the structure. So yes, teenagers are always pushing the boundaries and trying to explore who they are, but you also need to give them that structure in a loving and safe environment.
Absolutely. I've always said structure and boundaries are really a very important factor in any healthy relationship. Having boundaries is a very important factor in any healthy relationship. So I just want to ask you, Jenny, because you've been so helpful here. I just want to ask you, actually, before I ask you the 3 main tips,
okay,
tell me, I mean, where let's see, should we first tell us, where do you think most parents drop down? Why do you think parents drop down their guard in terms of boundaries? Why do you think parents do that?
They're afraid of losing the connection and the relationship with the teenager. So that's why if they really feel that the relationship is strained, they let down their guard and they say, it's okay. Like you said, it doesn't matter. I want to take care of the relationship. So it's a bit of a balance. Yes, you want to take care of relationships. So you don't want to swing the other side where you become like too military like. But at the same time, you also don't want to be really too relaxed, because you're not their friends. So you do need to recognize that you still need to be firm. I think a lot of parents feel that, okay, I'm just too tired at the end of the day. It's just so easy to let things go. So it's short-term gain, but long-term, there is a repercussion of your action. So I always remind myself, I love you, but it doesn't mean that I will let you be spoiled. You still need to be respectful. Respecting each other in the family is a very important value for me. Young and old, you respect each other as individuals. So when I see him being disrespectful, that's when I call him out. So I know we're tired. So again, that's when self-care comes in, Angie. When you're tired and you're stressed, that's not you at your best. So when your teenager riles you up, what are you going to do? So you recognize that I'm not at my best. So this is not a good time for me. But you can simply just say that the way you talk to me just now, that's not acceptable. But mom's not in the mood to talk to you right now. So I'll get back to you. But you've laid it there. And then, he or she would know that, oh, okay, I did something that's not quite right. But they also have a lot of pride. So you both need to have some time to cool down. And of course, when everyone is at their best self, that's a good time to revisit the family rules. Again, like the structure, what we accept, what we don't, and what we can compromise on. So talk about that with a clear-headed minds. Then after this, when we are stressed and we're angry with each other, you can easily say, remember, this is what we all committed to as our family rules.
I see. Wow. You've got such fantastic tips. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to ask you 3 specific tips that you can give to parents of teenagers today, so that if they went and implemented these today, their relationship with their teenager would begin to shift. But before I ask you, before you tell us this, I want to ask you, where can all these listeners find you? Because you've got such amazing wealth of information. And I would love all these guys to come to you and grab a hold of you and listen to you some more and learn from you. Where can we find you, Jenny?
Thanks, Angie. They can find me at my website, riverlifecoaching.com. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram under River Life Coaching. But I also have my personal account, which is under Jenny To, and they're public as well. So you can't go wrong, Jenny To, TOH, or River Life Coaching. Yes.
Oh, there you go, guys. So you can go to River Life Coaching and you will be able, over there, you'll be able to grab a hold of Jenny, or you can go personal and go to Jenny, right?
Yes.
I'm sure if anyone wants to learn from you, you will be open to them coming to you on.
Oh, definitely. We parents have to stick together, right, Angie?
Absolutely. And
yes.
I always say, everyone here, and even those of you guys who haven't heard us talk about this, we emphasize that it does take a village to raise kids,
Yes.
You cannot be a lone ranger in this raising kids. Lone ranger doesn't work. So it takes me hearing from Jenny, it takes Jenny hearing from me and hearing from other guests, and also hearing from you guys, giving us feedback, letting us know what's working and what have you tried. Because remember, we always say, we bring you great information, right? But then it's up to us as parents to take action on that information so that we can get the transformation that we need. And isn't that what we all want? We want transformation, isn't it? So, yes. Jenny.
Yes, the tips, right?
Yes, 3 tips, please. 3 amazing tips that our parents can go and action as soon as today to have that transformation.
Yeah. So for those of you who have partners, I mean, make sure that your husband and your wife are with you on the same page. So it could be something that you talk to your teenager, just say about curfew, if they're going out and all that. Make sure both of you are on the same page. You cannot have one saying, oh, it's okay, you can come back 1 hour later. And then the other parents saying that no, it's a hard timeline. So I think it's that consistency and agreement. And another wise friend told me, don't ever argue in front of your kids. I'm sure everyone knows this, but we're only human. I'm guilty of arguing in front of my kids. But then after that, we do a debrief, like what you said, Angie, you'd like to do debrief, right? So I do a debrief to say that you saw mom and dad argue, we're only human, but you see we're fine now, and this is not the right way to deal with argument. So my first tip is, whatever important rules, expectations that you want on your teenager, make sure that you and your partner are on the same page. Otherwise, it will show up and your teenager will get even more confused. Or your teenager could manipulate the one who's softer. So it's not a war or anything, but you both need to be on the same page. Yeah, so that's tip number one. Tip number two, in terms of conversation when you're angry, I do this myself. When I'm angry, instead of saying, you caused me to be angry, you were disobedient, you phrase it that, son, I feel angry because of what you say to me. So it's very simple. You can use this in adult conversations as well. Instead of you change your feelings, your sentences to I. I feel angry because I felt that what you said is disrespectful. I'm not able to talk to you right now because I know that if I say something, it's going to come out wrong. So a lot of I, and you can see that I am slowing down as well when I'm saying the word I, because as you're saying I for an introvert, I'm also reflecting, oh, okay, what's happening within me? And then have that patience. Yeah, that's my third one. It's having that patience.
Wow.
And
So
yeah, so I mean, patience is difficult. Like if you're stressed or you had a very long day, so don't neglect self-care. So I find that it's easier for me to be patient when my cup is full, when I've taken care of myself. So especially mothers out there, I urge you, self-care is not selfish. It's not the spa or the manicure and pedicure, although we like that, right? But no, it's just taking that time out, whether you're an extrovert or introvert. So if you're an extrovert, if you miss talking to a friend, just call that friend up for a 15-minute chat. It's not selfish, because after that you feel that, I'm full. My cup is full, and then you're better to deal with whatever lies ahead.
Wow, those are beautiful last tips. Like be on the same page with your partner if you're parenting together, and then have that conversation that mainly focuses on I feel this way, yes, because of what happens, so that you're not pointing a finger, yes, at the other at the kid, at the young person. And then, as you said, patience. A lot of patience is required, and I think you gave us four, actually, because you talked about self-care. But I think self-care will have to get you back here another day for okay, you to talk about self-care, because you've just introduced something that we go on about. Self-care, looking after self, is not selfish, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. That's so true. Be running on empty and expect to give someone anything, right? So I am so delighted. And once again, guys, connect with Jenny Tor at River Life Coaching, or Jenny Tor on LinkedIn, Facebook, and just search her, you'll find her. And I'm so delighted. Everyone, again, today, thank you for gracing us with your presence. And as always, here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers, our aim is to help parents bring up or raise highly effective teenagers, because we can. We don't have to be just parents or leaders by default. We can be leaders by design, meaning we make decisions on a continuous basis. And one of the things we all know is that leaders are learners. So I want you to thank yourself so much for having been here and listening to this, learning a few more tips about becoming a better leader, a better parent to your kid. And until our next episode, we're gonna say bye for now. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to our Raising Remarkable Teenagers podcast or website, go over there, Raising Remarkable Teenagers, and let's connect. Until next time, Jenny, have you got any last words for our lovely listeners?
Take care of yourself, and thanks for listening. And thank you, Angie, for this space.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And guys, we will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.